Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to use a ZAP, one of the HTTP proxy, to do the HTTP request interception. We are going to use a web server called a WebGoat. This is the vulnerable server that be allowed you to try different kind of attacks. So let's get started. So here this environment has server and a client where you need to start the WebGoat server in the server machine and also visit the Goat server with the browser on the client and also to turn on the ZAP on the client as well. So let's get started. So before you start the server, you need to turn off the firewall so that you'll be able to allow the client to visit your server, to visit the server. So after that, you need to type in the command to start the WebGoat. We have already installed the WebGoat in your environment. You simply just need to type in the command to start the WebGoat, which is java-jar and a WebGoat. And then you need to specify the server's address so that your client will be able to visit that. So the server address is going to be 182 in this case. Different environment will have different IP address of the server, so you need to find out the server of your virtual machine and then to type in here rather than to use the same IP. Right. So, but once I'm ready, I hit enter, then the WebGoat will be started within several seconds. Okay, so WebGoat has started within 21 seconds. Then I can visit the WebGoat in my client machine. So remember, you need to know your IP address. So the IP address will be 182, right? So then in the client, I will need to open the Firefox browser. And type in the IP address. And I need to specify the port number 8080 and WebGoat. Now I get into the WebGoat, but you need to have a user to use this system. To start, then you need to register a new user, and you can use any name you want, because this is a temporary account that will be deleted once your virtual machine is destroyed. So any account will be good. Let's just call it a Tom Cloud and give some password. And then hit agreement. And your account should be saved and also be logging automatically. And then you can see that this WebGoat server has several different topics of exercise for you to practice, including authentication problems, injection flaws, cross-site scripting, access control flaws, and so on. So today we will take a look at the HTTP basics, so that to help us to learn better about HTTP. So this environment basically gives you a page-to-page introductions and exercise to help you to get familiar with HTTP proxies. And also we have this page for introducing HTTP proxy, and it basically introduces details about ZAP and how do you start the ZAP and how do you configure ZAP. And eventually there will be exercise in page 6 that will ask you to try to intercept some request and then tamper the request with the ZAP. So let's do that. So if you look at our lab menu, then you will be able to see that you can start a ZAP by using the pre-installed ZAP on this virtual machine. I think it's located in the directory ZAP. So simply go to ZAP, right? And then to start this word zap, you need to use a sudo command because the zap is going to because it's going to do some interception. It may need some higher privilege account to do that. You can start zap like this. Yeah. So at the beginning, it will ask you to agree some license, some agreement. Once you click yes, then the zap will be started for you. And as I said, that with the zap, you can basically intercept different HTTP requests, and also you can modify or tamper some requests. So there are a lot of things that you can do. The goal of the zap is to help you to actually analyze the security of a web server. Right? So you may see some message saying some script errors, but just click OK. It doesn't affect our lab. And click start. Then the zap is started. So once it starts, then it doesn't seem to be have anything. So let's first set up the zap so that it can observe all different kind of HTTP requests sending through this web browser. Right, so to start that, we basically need to go to Tools and Options and select the local proxy. It's going to be here. Right, so in this local proxy, you want to set the port, the input port, to A0A0. Right, so that's the proxy that you need to set. Right, and then after that, you need to set up your Firefox browser so that to have this connect to the zap. Then once it's done, then all the HTTP requests and the response which are directed to the browser is going to go through the zap. Then you will see all the requests in this panel. Right. So this is how you set up, and you should click the menu of the Firefox, and then to let me just make it to the full screen so that it will be easier for us to operate. Right. So you click settings. In the setting, if you go to the very bottom, there's a network setting, and click this one. And now this is the place where you can configure your proxy. Now we want our proxy, we want to use the ZAP as our proxy. In order to do that, we can click this menu proxy configuration and then type in the IP address where you can connect to the ZAP. In this case, it's gonna be the local host, and the port would be the one that you have set up just now on the ZAP. That's A0A0. Right, that's A0A0. So make sure that you distinguish this A0A0 with the web ghost A0A0. So this A0A0 is the port from that server, right? And this A0A0 is a port from ZAP, right? So then you can imagine that the HTTP request will, let's say that it will first go to the A0A0 port of the ZAP in the local machine, which will be routed to the A0A0 port of the WebGoat server, which is on the server virtual machine. Right, so that's the idea of that. So that's all you need to set up, the IP address and the port, and also use it for the HTTPS. Right, so once it's done, then I don't think you need to configure other things. Once it's done, click OK. Then it's set, right? So if it's being set, you should see a lot of message in this panel. As you can see, those are the HTTP requests that is sent to the server or to other servers, right? So there are so many requests are showing here, but we are all interested about the request in this exercise. Let's say in this exercise we want to intercept this request. So this request is specifically for this IP address, right? So it won't be issue. So then we want to ignore some other not so interested HTTP request. To do that, we need to add need to add some exclusion. I need to add some URL to the exclusion list. Right? To do that, we can click the we can right-click this button and select exclude from proxy. Right? Exclude from proxy. Then we can add some other URLs that we are not interested about. So we can add, firstly we can add some. You can see that you can frequently see some request that is seems to be from this detectportal.firefox.com. We don't need that, right? So what is that? I think it's this page, right? So it's this default page. So we don't want to intercept those requests. So then we want to exclude that, right? So then we basically select the exclude from proxy, exclude from proxy. And we want to, we already add, and by default we're already added at part. But we want to make sure that all such requests will be rejected. So then we want to use a regular expression here, right? So then the domain definitely going to be detectportal.firefox.com. And then we want to exclude all such requests. So we're going to use the regular expression period asterisk. Right. So that basically remove all the, if we click OK, I think it will exclude all this requests. And also there are a bunch of other requests to the port to the webGoat server, but those are not the requests that we are interested about in this page. So we want to exclude them as well. So in order to do that, we want to further exclude those requests, right? So you will notice that there are a lot of requests from service. So that's not what we want. We want to exclude that. So then it's gonna be a service, and it's gonna be any URL that starts with the IP webGoat service. All right. So we wanna remove that. So then we can exclude that. And there's another type of the request we also want to exclude. You will frequently see that there are a lot of requests called the webGoat service, webGoat, and something called something and then followed with lesson. .lesson. So we want to exclude that URL as well. So we want to modify that. And when we click OK, right, so then I believe that if we want to remove all the existing requests, now we have deleted all the existing requests. Now it's empty now, right? So now let's try to try to intercept this request. And in order to intercept any request, what you can do is that you can set up a breakpoint with the ZAP by clicking this button, set breakpoint on all requests. And then with that, once you hit the button to submit a request, it should be intercepted by the ZAP. This web page sends a message called "doesn't really matter." If you hit the submit, it should be intercepted by the ZAP. Right. So if you click OK, then you will be able to see the request. Now, our lab asks you to do two things. That is to ask you to change the request from post to get, and also add a header. and also change the message, right? So change the message. So it all takes, in order to complete that, you need to understand different requests sent from HTTP protocol. So there are actually in general widely used, there are in general two requests that are widely used. One is called GET, the other is called POST. So then you need to change the method from the POST to GET. And if it is a GET request, then the request attaching the GET will be attached in the URL. So you need to add that, instead of sending the request called doesn't really matter, you need to change it to requests tampered easily. Right? Change the value to this. And also you need to ask to add another header. So header is one of the component in all the HTTP requests. It's a key value pairs of content attached in the HTTP request. As you can see that in here, this is the existing request. You can see that there are a bunch of headers here, including content type as one of the header. Remember that each header will be key value pairs, right? And X requested with, this is the one of the header, and the key is this one, and the value is a XML HTTP request, right? So and the cookie and the referral, connect, origin, content length, they are all headers, right? So you are asked to add another headers called X request intercepted, and the value set to true. Right? So this is the defined header that is not compliant to the HTTP basics, HTTP standards, but you can add your customized header here. Right. So then we will go ahead to change the. So in order to do that, firstly we need to change the method, and the ZAP will provide you a good way to change the method by you click this button, and you can change the request to different methods. You can change it to GET. Right. So once you change it to GET, you will see that the post message disappeared, but instead the requests are actually attached here. As you can see, the change me equals doesn't really matter. That's what you need to change, right? So you need to change it to requests tampered easily. Right. So remember that whenever there's space, you can replace that with plus sign in ZAP. Okay, and then the second task would be to change the header, add a header. So you want to add a header in the request. So the header is X request intercepted and true. And that's all, right? So now we have changed the method to GET. We have changed the input value for change me to requests tampered easily, and we have changed the header to X requested. Change the header to X request intercepted. Right. So once it's done, then we can click the continue button. Then the tamper request will be sent to the server. Right. So this should be, the server will receive a different message as specified here rather than this one. Right. So when you click the continue, then you will see that you are successfully tampered the request. You should be able to see this message saying that well done, your tampered requests are expected. Right, so that's what we are expecting. All right, so so there are a lot of other exercise in this lab. For example, it asks you to actually find. It asks you to find out the request in this form. That's what is the method of this request is post or get, and also what is the magic number. That is one of the value sent through this request. So you can use a ZAP to do practice and to see if you can intercept and see the request message. Right. So that's pretty much what I want to talk with the ZAP, and you can try different kind of exercise so that to have a better understand about that. Okay, and thank you very much. Take care.